Hello everyone, Jose Joe Fish Keeping. This we're looking at a 29-gallon tank that I set up for my mom. She's 83-year-old and this tank has to be up and running probably about 4 years or so. She has done quite well of it. She does her own maintenance. I set it up initially for her. She, like me, likes to overstock the tank, so she's always getting more, and I said, Mom, you cannot put more fish into the tank anyway. So she does regular maintenance, has a friend that helps her around the house and sometimes helps her do the water changes. Besides making mistakes like we all do and killing fish occasionally, she has done actually quite well and does enjoy her fish. And she'll sit, put a little smoochie in front of the tank and watches it for hours sometimes. Yeah, often, since people know that I'm into fish keeping and so on, and often offer me aquarium stuff, and I just share it and pass it along to somebody who needs one. So I thought that this 55-gallon, I believe it's a 55-gallon bow front tank. My wife's cousin says that her 21-year-old just kind of got tired of taking care of it, wanted to get rid of it. So I said I definitely will take it. So I had about 4 people in mind that live nearby, 2 subscribers, my mom and a co-worker. So I thought of my mom. Among the fish that were in this fish tank is this type of Cynodontis. This is similar to the one that is there. It looks a lot like it. I really don't know these fish too well. This is a glow light tetra, a black molly, and also most likely a longfin, a rosy barb. It could be something different, but I have some similar to this, but they're just more colorful. On site, I emptied the tank out, bagged the fish properly, and cleaned the tank as best as I could there, removed all the stones and everything else, and I brought the tank over to my mom's house. She did a very nice job cleaning it. I know she had a spot, but when I got there, I tell her, this is going to be an upgrade to your tank. We're going to move your fish over. And she kind of looks at me and I say, well, you could keep both, because she kind of had that look. So she has a little bit of a multiple tank syndrome, MTS, those of you who are not in fish keeping. One 83-year-old woman who was very happy at the thought of having 2 tanks. She has 4 large angels in that tank and a small one she just added. So the plan is that she's going to move the larger angels, and of course we're going to set it up and hopefully make it nice and planted for her. I taught her to do a drop and plot method, which is basically, again, for those of you that don't know, it's you acclimate the fish to temperature, you float them in the bag, then once you do that, remove that water and just literally plop them in the tank. I do the same thing with discus. I have never had an issue. So she does the same as she has learned to do previously. She float them for a while. We finished bringing up some of the other stuff. When I came back upstairs with the some of the stuff, she had already gotten most of them there, but there was one little guppy she could not get out. So we put them in the tank, we set it up, we move along, and then the next day she cleaned the tank and sent me the pictures. So then she also sent me a picture of these dead fish, and then later she told me there was one more that died. So let me tell you what I believe truly what happens with these fish. Yes, this video is about making a older woman happy with a new tank, but really the story is to what do I think happened with these fish. This is not a video about changing water. Again, there's been a lot of debate lately. You do what you want with your fish tank. This is not what this is about. There's a lot of information, good information, misinformation out there. I always gear my videos to hopefully teach some ideas to new fish keepers, new people to the hobby. If you're gonna listen to one person, listen to other people, and then you make your own informed decision or what you think the right method should be. There is no one right method in fish keeping. Everybody does things their way, and that's the way it should be. Now you have a lot of people out there who say, so you never do water changes, just top up water, don't do anything, because the natural tanks are going to take care of themselves. People think that if you keep adding stuff to a tank, whether it's food or it's fish waste, that stuff never leaves the tank unless you remove it by doing water changes. This is a closed system. This is not a lake. This is not a swamp where there is water movement. This is a closed system. Unless you remove whatever you put in there, eventually it's going to keep building up, whether it's waste, whether it's stuff that we don't measure for. You could have a lot of plants in there that are taking care of your nitrates, but who the heck knows what else is in there that we're not measuring for. Now, do your fish die? And some people will say, well, my fish never die. I haven't done water changes in 10 years. That is true. Fish are very adaptable, as are us humans. I did not test for anything in that water, but we took a fish who knows what kind of waste, who knows what the TDS was in there. There are osmotic pressures in biology. fluid and stuff gets changed across membranes and the fish through their gills and so on. So now we're taking fish that are essentially bulletproof. Most of these fish, they are very hardy. And we're gonna take it now to a fish tank that is well maintained. The water is clean. It is regularly changed. The TDS are probably normal, and there is not a buildup of crap in that tank. So we took the fish in there. My mom acclimated the fish to temperature, then she plopped them in. The fish cannot adapt that quickly. They will adapt to living in crappy water for a long time, and they'll survive. They will live. But then when you put them in a 100% water change, of course they're gonna die. They're not gonna survive. So a bunch of them died. Some still are still okay. Now the Cynodontist that I brought home, because she has some smaller breed there, just out of fear of not eating it, I put it into my 90-gallon that really doesn't have any real small species that the catfish could eat. I acclimated him not only to temperature, but also over a period of at least an hour, I kept adding water slowly, removing some and just exchanging the water. So I give them time to acclimate to my water, to my clean water, as I keep the tank. Those other fish that didn't survive. Again, fish will adapt. So there's some people out there, and I don't want to mention his name, but I think you know who I'm talking about. He says never do water changes, right? And if you do any large water changes, your fish will die. These guys certainly did, because they had 100% water change, because they were living in a crappy environment. He was not taking care of that tank, right? So my fish didn't die. Maybe he was bigger, more resistant, but I took measures to make sure that he was properly acclimated to the new water slowly. When it said that if you do large water changes on your tank, people say a lot of crap about this because they're difficult, they this, they that, and I treat them like any other fish. I do 80% once a week, because that works for me. You can do water changes whatever you want to do, but I do 80%. I've done 100% water change on my discus tank. I don't have an issue with the water changes. But if I took those fish and put them into a, let me call it, polluted environment with high everything else, you bet that that fish, those discus are gonna die in that tank, because they're not used to that. They would not have time to adapt. Now if I leave them in a dirty water and I leave them without changing water for a long time, they will also eventually adapt, but for how long? So the point of this video was more to tell newcomers, listen to all the points. There are many points of view, and there's many ways. But if something sounds a little bit strange or does not make sense, because sometimes common sense goes out of window with a lot of people, there's basic science. These are live animals, and you should treat them with respect and care. If you're gonna buy fish, if you're gonna keep fish, and not worry about them because it's a natural system, BS. Natural system is what's out there in nature. We can try to replicate nature, but just calling it, putting plants in there and believe that plants are going to take care of everything, they will not. They'll take care of what they need. The rest stays in the water. So again, why do I believe this fish die? I could, do 100% no. Do I know? No, but I believe that that was the reason why. They did not have chance to adapt. They had adapted to the other water, but not to clean water. And my fish at home, they're fine with the large water changes weekly, and they're accustomed to the water. There's no buildup of anything in there. I've never had nitrates in there. I do have planted tanks, but some people say, well, I would change the water when my nitrates get to 80 ppm, for example. I have 0 nitrates forever, okay, unless I'm cycling a tank. I don't go based on nitrates to decide that my fish tanks need a water change. I would change the water once a week, because just like you and me, we probably want to be cleaned. We probably want fresh air to breathe. So why not give it to your fish? I guess this was a little bit of a rant. There's been a lot of debate recently about the water. Not recently, for a long time, about the water changes. This is not about how you should change your water or what you should do, but this is really new fish keepers. Listen to multiple ways. There's many ways of taking care of fish. But if something doesn't make sense and it sounds like bullshit, it may be bullshit. So if I offended some of you, I'm sorry. But you do things your way, I do things my way. And there is science, there is biology behind lives, whether a human, whether a fish, or any other animal. Just think about it. It doesn't make sense to me? No, it makes no sense at all. If it makes sense to you, maybe it does, okay? But just think about it. Would you like to live in those conditions that these poor fish are made to live in? Thank you so much. This was a little bit more of a rant than anything else. but there is one happy woman. Thank you.